What up, y'all? It's your boy, Christopher Alexander, Robert Clark Youngblood. Today is Friday, November 14th, 2025 at 5:57 p.m. Pacific time. Super dark outside already. Always a weird adjustment to daylight savings. I think in Oregon particularly, man, it gets dark early, like before 5 o'clock. So that's a weird adjustment. Gonna crank out this podcast now on a Friday night because I think I just have leftover energy these days with when the sun goes down so early. Trying to hit it as hard as I can in jujitsu to burn as much energy as I can during the day. But I got a little bit of a groin issue I'm nursing. Hoping it's not a sports hernia. When I get back to California, I need to probably get that thing checked out. Uh, but yeah, trying to push it as hard as I can in the gym, and things are going well there. Um, yeah, man, I think increasingly, I don't know. We're counting down the weeks here in my time here in Portland and with JoJo and Emmy and in this job or life or whatever it has been over the past 6 years. Both. My entire, I was thinking about it this week. It's like, I'm going to be 38. So 6 out of 38 years. It was like 15% of my life has been spent raising these girls. The vast majority of that in LA, obviously. Longest I've ever held any job, longest I've ever lived in any single place in my adult life. It's a big change. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. But obviously, that's like kind of not artificial excitement, but I'm forcing that being the predominant emotion because there's big sadness attached to it. I love these girls so much, particularly the time we spent here in Portland. We've it's like I've grown closer with them, like in a very fast amount of time. Particularly Emmy, she seems to have like really leveled up. Is the only way I can really say it. She's such a sweetheart, and I just think is like a more resilient and calm kid than she was just a few months ago. Anyway, I'm gonna miss them very much. I'm obviously excited for their future for sure. I'm excited to be a part of their lives going forward. I'm very sad that I'm not gonna be part of their lives on a daily basis, but I'm excited for the paths all of our lives are going down together. They're like, they're not my children, they're not my friends, they're somewhere in between like children and friends. Like I'm excited to have a relationship with them as adults and to see the type of people they become. So and see them grow up. Um, but so much excitement and uncertainty ahead. I feel good with my psychological state with how much uncertainty is ahead. 7 weeks out of leaving here, kind of hammering down more specifically. We're gonna have conversations this weekend about specifics about dates and stuff about leaving here. But it's looking like I will be out of here by New Year's, like potentially a couple of days, probably somewhere between a few days after Christmas. I'll be out of here and headed to LA almost certainly. There's potentially I'll take some time off, do a little vacation, but there's also a chance I'm just going straight to LA. Well, I want to stop by Arizona for sure to register my car either before or after New Year's, and then probably get my teaching certificate renewed just because entering a world of unemployment, I think it's just a good like backup plan to have. I don't want to be under the auspice. I don't want to be an employee of anyone really. Obviously, I've been an employee here kind of, but it's been such an autonomous existence. And my boss is also a close friend that it feels much more organic and natural than this like more artificial relationship with this person that you have to like listen to or collaborate with just based on professional uh sorry, there's kids running around our house, which I really love. Here in Oregon, we have a neighborhood where there's a bunch of other little kids, and unlike LA, there'd be other kids in the neighborhood, but there wasn't a culture of like the kids going to each other's houses and playing in the street. Obviously, LA playing in the street's more dangerous here, but we we're getting in the, especially since the clocks have changed, in the habit of coming home and the kid and JoJo and Emmy playing with kids in the neighborhood, which is really cool. And they're right outside the window right now. I don't know if y'all can hear them or not. What the fuck was I talking about? Teaching. Yeah, get my teacher certificate. I don't really know what I want to do next. I have ideas. Potentially go back to teaching. Teaching's great because it really is a fulfilling job. It really can have an impact on kids, like on children's lives. The schedule is like I like a routinized schedule. Routinized, if that's a word, like a routine. I like knowing I'm gonna have time off guaranteed. The pay is enough for me, but obviously capped. Like that's a downside is like there's no upside for pay. The downside is also you're part of a system. I'm not, dude. JoJo gets up at like her dad drags her out of bed at 7 a.m. He has to get up at fucking 6:45 or whatever every morning. They're both sleepy. It's like, what are we doing to these kids? Like literally, like drag them out of the bed and toss them into some fucking bus that the government sends out for them. They send them. I think schools are like very loving places, and the people involved and teachers for the most part are like almost exclusively actually are like very dedicated and loving people. And so it's definitely not like a horrible system, but I don't know if I necessarily want to be a part of it professionally. I don't know. But it's also good to like be there. It is what it is, and it's good that kids have good role models in that system. If that's just kind of how the system is going to be anyway. So anyway, you can think about it too much and everything. I'm really making an attempt in my own life to do much less cognition and more feeling, much less cognition and more intuition. But yeah, so it's teaching certainly out there and good to have that as a backup plan. But once again, I got to go back and renew the shit and get into the bureaucracy and get things notarized and signed and like references and all that shit that I don't like. But it's just part of the gig, part of the game, I guess. Dude, jujitsu is the thing that I'm really passionate about the most and love the most now. So ideally, I would love to be able to make a living coaching kids jujitsu or jujitsu in general. But like, I'm just most passionate. I think about kids, and I'm just a big kid inside, and so I don't know. It's more fun. I love working with children. It makes every day to me like more bright and meaningful. So that is definitely on the table as well. Doing that, I guess that'll probably be some of my first feelers. But yeah, just plan on going to LA without a plan, finding a cheap place to live, renting a spot, studio, or I'd love to find another guest house like I was living in LA previously, and just figuring out from there. And I'm excited about that. Excited to be back in the sun and all the opportunities and things that LA provides. I'm like super excited to be back in like this giant urban concrete sprawl. I really have loved being in Oregon with the trees, and the city of Portland is built into nature, which is awesome. It's not awesome all the rain and cloudiness right now, but um and obviously LA the weather affords you the opportunity to be outside, which is its own connection to nature. So it's pros and cons to each side there. So anyway, I'll just make a concerted effort to spend as much time as I can in parks, get my feet in the grass, do yoga outside on a daily basis, which I'm super excited for back in LA. So yeah, that's what's going on here. Just really trying to enjoy every day with the girls and not manage my brain in a way, like manage the anxiety of my brain of like wanting to do this and solve this. And plan. I really making a concerted effort to just be present with what I'm doing with the short time that I have left with these girls, the very simple life that I have built, and enjoyed the last few weeks of this kind of like monastic lifestyle that I've built over the last 6 years, because it's all going to come to an end in a way at the end of the year. And hopefully I can keep certain structures of that in place. So we'll see. Potentially going back to nannying as well. I've made a list of things that I potentially want to do this upcoming year. Nannying is on the list as well. Finding it, dude. I love the process of watching a baby grow. It's such a profound experience to be involved with. But then you are looking at like, okay, what am I going 6 more years of, falling in love with another baby and another family and all of that. Perhaps it's time to spread my wings in something else. But really, yeah, the longer term, or really not that longer of a term, especially as my romantic relationship continues to progress, it's like I really do think I want to open an in-home daycare and like educate my kid between the ages of 0 and 5 in the house with other kids. I think that'd be awesome. And then potentially longer term beyond that, a gym, a jiu-jitsu gym. I'm very passionate about martial arts and jiu-jitsu in particular. I haven't trained kickboxing in so long, man. I need to get back into kickboxing. I haven't trained kickboxing consistently since July, which is crazy. But I'm really passionate about the sport, this practice, the discipline, the art, all of it. It's more than a sport. It's more than art. Children knocking on my door. What's up, children? Hola, niños. I think we're about to pop in here in 2 seconds. I know it. So if I take out the cognition and go just with the intuition, I feel my path leading me in the direction of children, martial arts, gym, preschool, school. It'd be cool to just like have a big facility where you had a martial arts gym, recovery, I don't know if I'm really getting into it, recovery space, yoga, martial arts, and then childcare that could potentially be, I guess it could just be childcare for parents who are training. And then, of course, children's classes. But then also, I really am interested in like building a formal school, in a sense, for kids. Certainly between the ages of 0 and 5, a preschool, but potentially beyond that, kindergarten, elementary school, and beyond. Potentially. That's a lot, and maybe a lot to take on. Because also I'm interested in a lot of other things in life. But I guess it's all a good thing to have, man, because there's been points in my life where I felt just disinterested in existence and not interested in much at all. And that's a very depressing and dark place to be. And to anyone that feels that way, I would encourage them to not give up on it and just, keep looking for stuff and trying stuff and not be afraid, man. You only have one chance in life. Here I am kind of like feeling preachy, not that I have anything figured out, sitting in my fucking buddy's basement. Hola, niños. Hola, niños. Trying to listen to what they're saying now and totally losing my focus. And I'm not trying to sound preachy at all, but like me telling myself this. I'm talking like 5-10 people on this fucking podcast right now probably. So I'm telling myself this more than anything. Like, don't be afraid to take chances and go in the direction of things that excite you, and just keep trying shit. I'm definitely telling myself that. So, yeah. That's what's cracking, kind of in the personal life. Man, I had a good mushroom trip last week. Right after I recorded the podcast that afternoon, I learned. Not sure how much I want to like reveal. That has like kind of fleshed. A lot of stuff things I learn on mushrooms. It's like it takes a while to kind of flesh out into words and exactly what it means. But like, I think 2 big lessons is I walked through this Forest Park in Portland, and it's a beautiful park, beautiful trees. The forest is a place where it like heals and draws out people's anxiety. If you're quiet in the forest, this particular park is busier than I would like it to be. There's like a lot of people around, especially on Saturday and Sundays, but you can hear people's anxieties. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't want to like rant about fucking politics or us them shit as much as I did last week. But obviously, people's anxieties in Portland tend to go down one sort of track. Exactly what you expect them to. And it's kind of crazy, man. You're just quiet enough and you hear people. You hear people's politics in public. But that's all kind of tied in together because I went down this path that seemed like less taken, and it was closed. As a sign of it being closed, I'm like, how do you close a fucking path in the woods? These are paths that have probably been trekked for thousands of years. How do you close a path? And why? Under what circumstances require you to close a path? Like, what is there a fucking murderer down here? Is there a bear? Is like a fucking like a pit, like a giant lava pit in the middle of like why? How do you close a trail, a hiking trail? It's the woods. Like, who has the authority to close a hiking trail in the woods that's existed for thousands of years? Is it under construction? What the fuck? It's a hiking trail. So, me being me, of course, I ignored the sign and continued on the trail. It looked like a cool trail. You know, you're in the woods hiking, you get a sense of like where the cool places are, you know. And certainly kind of the energy was probably drawing me to a place that was quieter and less people. So, of course, I went up this trail, and it's an ascending trail, which is typically the direction I want to go when I'm hiking is up. And I pass a fallen tree across the trail. So this beautiful hiking trail, which was the most beautiful trail I had seen on the hike thus far, had been closed to everyone to not enjoy because a tree had fallen across the trail. Which is like arguably the most natural thing to happen on a hiking trail is fallen trees. So, man, I was tripping on that. Like a tree fall in the woods. Anyone knows? Like, what are we doing here? What kind of society are we making? Where like there's some authority of hiking trails that has autonomy over hiking trails, and that authority has made the decision to close it under the justification that there's a tree falling across the trail, which, by the way, is like a super fucking cool thing to see in the woods is a fallen tree. It actually makes it much more interesting. It's like, what is the thinking here? Like, why? What is the motivation here? Like, what is the energy or the force or the impetus for that kind of decision? It kind of goes in line with a much more liberal way of thinking of like keeping things safe and protective. What, Jojo? What? Yes. In like 15 minutes. In like 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Sorry about that. I will try. Sorry. Jojo beckons. I will try. Thank you. Jojo's literally scaling exercise equipment to peer into my room to yell at me about coming outside to play with her. When she could, and now she could just walk inside the house and ask these questions instead of screaming at me at the top of her lungs from atop a squat rack in the backyard. What was I talking about? Anyway, porn's like that, man. It's like that's a hyper regulated society that I don't like that. Yeah, there's other examples, dude. Like Portland, there you like when you exit off a street onto the highway. I don't know how they determine it. I feel like maybe it's not every exit, but certainly on many exits, there's fucking traffic lights that regulate when you can, like, merge onto the highway. Hello, give me like 15 minutes, Jojo. Unless you want to say something to the world, Brexton. Say something to the world. I am happy, says Brexton. Jojo, anything?
I like the world in Oregon so far.
You like the world in Oregon so far? Nice. We didn't have friends like this in LA come over, did we?
Hello. I like the wood. at school.
Sorry, y'all. I don't know where I was or what ended up. I was interrupted by children, and their beautiful screams. I was including them to the greatest extent possible until I started screaming as loud as possible to the microphone, and I kind of thought that might not be the most productive inclusion. Anyway, I don't want to say complaining. I was commenting on the state of things, kind of, which I don't want to. I'm gonna wrap up soon because it ties into kind of the second lesson I learned on this mushroom trip. Anyway, I was complaining about this fallen tree in the path and how I think that's what authority exists that over paths, A, that have existed for thousands of years in the woods, B, like what would possibly be the justification for closing a path in the woods, and the fact that it was a fallen tree. It's just like, what are we doing here? We've totally, in an effort that I understand is well intentioned, you've like made the world a worse place, objectively. And you've done that with stolen money, with stolen taxpayer dollars. And that's kind of liberal policies in a lot of ways. And not just liberal policies, that's governmental policies. Often. This quote unquote problem, either invented or real. The government has like the monopolistic authority to address it, but then ultimately addressing this quote unquote problem actually makes the whole situation worse, or the world worse. Another example I was offering was when you merge onto fucking highways in Portland, there's stoplights that like regulate if you can merge or not, which maybe would make sense in like extremely dense traffic situations. But dude, these things exist when like no traffic on the highways, no one on the merge ramp. And it's like a red light to merge into a highway with no cars on it. It's insane shit, man. It's crazy, hyper-regulated little aspects of society. Which, if you listen to this podcast, you know how I feel about that shit. And I don't know, on a Friday, if it was Saturday morning tomorrow, I'd probably go, and I was hyped up on energy drinks, I'd probably get way more fired up about it. But it is what it is, and I will continue to comment on it, I suppose. But also, the second thing I found on this mushroom trip, because I went on this path that was closed because I had a fallen tree on it, and it was awesome. I'm really glad I did. It was the best part of the hike. And I sat there and meditated for a long time and just kind of chilled. But I'm on mushrooms, and when you're on mushrooms, you're like not quite functioning in real reality well. And I remember I lost a joint in the leaves. And I was sitting like scrambling like on my hands and knees, not actually my hands and knees, but like looking through all these leaves for a joint for like 5 minutes, just feeling ridiculous. And on mushrooms, you feel kind of ridiculous too, a lot of times, because you're just not functioning in normal ways. Your brain is feels like it's like getting this profound downloads from the universe, but regular reality, like managing your phone and things and talking sometimes, can be very difficult. And so I was feeling ridiculous in a very intense way, and I just downloaded this message. The message came to me from the universe, like, dude, don't criticize society or other things before you criticize yourself. Like, take care of your own shit before you start offering commentary on how the world works or whatever. Like, unless you feel deeply satisfied with how you're managing your own life, maybe don't offer commentary on those things. And maybe that's too profound of a way to interpret that message. Like, I could probably interpret that message in a more subtle way, maybe. You can kind of do both, like work on yourself and work on things bigger than yourself at the same time. Because no one's ever like fully realized or evolved or perfectly healthy or whatever. But I think there's certain kind of major things and stuff that we can all work on before we comment on things outside of ourselves. And I don't know exactly how to verbalize that message, but hopefully it gets across. And that message was very profound to me on that mushroom trip. That wow, there's all these parts of society that are hyper-regulated with stolen money. And I think that actually makes society worse. But also, the best thing any of us can do to have a better existence or whatever for ourselves and others is to be the best person that we can be. And if everybody did that, then we live in a better world. So we should always work inward first and then outward. Take care of yourself, make sure you're good, your children if you have them, or those that are dependent on you, those in your immediate community, like your family, your closest friends, your immediate community and neighbors, and then start, build out from there as far as the impact you want to have on the planet. Anyway, that's just kind of the message I got then. And then I was sitting there like hiking up, hiking out, and like grabbing my love handles. And I'm actually in pretty good shape right now. Like, I don't know, I'm probably, I don't know, it's fucking lame, but like you can, I judge my fitness level on whether you can see my abs, six pack, and even here laying down, I feel like you can. I feel like I'm feeling good. I'm doing well in jiu-jitsu and performing well, and I feel in good shape, and I'm satisfied with my physical appearance. But even climbing out of that mountain, I was grabbing my love handles. I love handles, and I could feel like the extra body weight that I don't need. And so I was like, it was the message from the universe, like, shut your mouth, fat ass. No, if you can grab your own love handles, like, stop complaining about, hiking trail regulation or whatever. Anyway, that's perhaps, I don't know, maybe too intense of interpretation of those things, but I think there's a message there to be learned. And then I had a really, I don't want to get into details because they're a little personal, but I had a really profound, nice meditation after that, and really just kind of fell in love in a deep way with the concept of having a child and building a gym and a school and having a deep, loving, romantic relationship with the mother of my child, and incorporating that new being into my small little family I have here of my mom and sisters. Have here on earth. So I had a really like kind of profound and peaceful experience of kind of the direction of the future of kind of where the direction of my life is headed. And that was really refreshing and beautiful to experience. Like the experience of peace and happiness in the conception and imagination of a life that is like simple, humble, but like beautiful and loving. And in its own way, very profound. And like a foundation upon which, an unknown future can be built. Anyway, that's what's cracking in the world. I had technical issues, so I can't exactly remember everything I talked about initially, but I think I've covered like where I am currently in life, the journey, and of course the girls that are up to. So I kind of lost my train of thought. Where things are personally, kind of the journey, or kind of philosophical experiences I've had recently. Sports, man, dude, the Seahawks are crushing it. Our beloved coach Mike, the prophet. I don't think I talked about this. Also, I recorded earlier, and it like something happened with the recording, so I talked about the Seahawks. And the first time I pressed record, I never planned on what I'm going to talk about. I just start talking. But the first time I press record, and then there's an issue with the recording. I think I talked about sports first for like 5 minutes. But then now I've done the second recording, and actually it's a third recording. We left this place together because of the children's screams. This children's screams are so fucking creepy. Dude, they grabbed the mic and just yelled it to as loud as they can. I'm like, oh god, if someone's got their earbuds in, that might not sound great. Anyway, Seahawks, man. The prophecy of Coach Mike's success and greatness is unfolding at a rate far faster than most could have conceived. He's going to win a Super Bowl. The Seahawks are arguably the best team in the league. Huge game against the Rams this weekend, which by DVOA, which is like a football analytics metrics by this football organization called Football Outsiders. DVOA is its comprehensive overall metric of team success and capability, I guess. I don't know. I think the Rams and Seahawks are 1 and 2 in the league. So it's like arguably the two best teams in the league. They're in the same division. Huge game this weekend. But it's the NFL, so ultimately, like, it doesn't matter win or lose. But the point is the Seahawks are rolling, man. Coach Mike is the fucking man. Oh, he texted me this week too. He finally fucking texted me back. He finally fucking texted me back. Thank God, man. So embarrassing. I text this guy like 10, 20 times in a row about fucking Seahawks and how proud of him I am and all that shit. No response. Much fewer responses this season than last season. But he finally texted me back. I texted him about LSU football, like joking, like, "Hey man, you should take the LSU job remotely." Because honestly, dude, the LSU football job, my entire fucking life, that job has been just like on a platter to be successful. I'd probably say it's the third best job. You could argue it's the best job in the country because of the pipeline of talent that comes there. Every kid born in Louisiana wants to be an LSU Tiger. That's kind of unlike any other state except maybe like Ohio. Georgia, I guess. There's some competition with Georgia Tech. You know, there's like an exclusivity to LSU. I guess Georgia's that way some, but Tech I think is on the rise a little bit. Anyway, in the town, there's no competition for the talent in the state of Louisiana, and they have huge money backing, huge fan support. That's also the pressure of the job in a way. Anyway, I'm bringing my LSU. I texted him about, dude, just take the LSU job remotely. I think you could win a national championship at LSU if you ran the job through Zoom. Just put some interns in place. I don't know, some yes men. I don't know. And Coach Mike schemes it up. Anyway, he responded back to that. Like, ha ha ha. Well, I don't remember what he said, but he mentioned Lane Kiffin's name in his response, which, dude, I've been saying Lane Kiffin's going to get the LSU job since before this season started. Honestly, I've been saying it to my jiu-jitsu coach, who is an LSU fan. Literally, I remember before the fucking first game this season, I was like, dude, fuck Brian Kelly, fire Brian Kelly, let's hire Lane Kiffin. And lo and behold, that's kind of what's going to happen. And also what's going to happen is Coach Mike's going to win a fucking Super Bowl, perhaps sooner than we thought. What the fuck was that? I don't know if y'all heard that slamming door. Anyway, no follow-up sound to that slamming door, so I guess everyone was alive. No screams. Dogs also have a huge game this weekend. LSU, Texas this weekend. Texas, I swear this game already happened. But LSU, Texas weekend, huge game. The LSU, Texas, UGA, Texas. Sorry, University of Georgia versus Texas this weekend. Huge game for I guess the playoff seeding and I guess the SEC, but I think UJ's in unless UJ loses to Texas and Georgia Tech. I shouldn't say that, dude, because I don't want to jinx them, but I love the fucking Dogs. I think they're going to get this W, and I'm really, really excited for them in the college football playoff. I'm excited for college football in general. I'm really trying to soak up these last few weeks of enjoying sports. UFC's kind of There's actually a huge UFC card this week. I'll touch on that in a second. But I'm trying to enjoy this last few weeks of like really soaking up sports. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to consume sports next year. I don't know what I'm going to be doing for work. But once again, I'm trying to go less cognition, more intuition. And my intuition always tells me to watch sports. I love sports. Huge UFC card this weekend, actually. UFC 322 tomorrow at Madison Square Garden. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight championship. Huge fight. Also, co-main event, Zhang Wei Li versus Valentina Shevchenko for the women's flyweight championship, 125. Welterweight, the men's is 170 pounds. Two huge fights. Islam Makhachev, one of the best. He dominated lightweight, 155, and is now moving up to weight to 170, which is a huge deal in MMA. Same thing is happening in the women's fight. Zhang Wei Li has been a fairly dominant champion at women's strawweight and is now moving up to fight Valentina Shevchenko, who is the greatest women's flyweight of all time. And so these are both super fights, right? These are champions of one weight class moving up to another weight class. And, champion versus champion fights. Two super fights here. I think it's the last pay-per-view of the year. No, there might be one more pay-per-view in the Middle East or something. But one of the last pay-per-views of the year. I think there might be one more in the Middle East. It's a weird time in the UFC, though, because they're about to go from ESPN to Paramount. It doesn't feel like the UFC's promoting their shit as much. There's definitely going to be some change um, in the, I would imagine, next year. UFC will take a break during the holidays for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then they're going to come back now on Paramount Plus, not on ESPN anymore. So it kind of feels like, they don't have a ton of incentive to push these last few events of the year with the ESPN deal. So it feels a little flat. MMA for me feels a little flat in general, but it is the sport I train and the sport I believe in the most as far as like the spirit of the sport and what it actually is. As I've said many times, it's MMA and combat sports is the essence of all sport. I feel like boiled down and presented in its most pure and raw form. But it is kind of flat for me right now. It's just like I'm most interested in college football. College football's fun, man. I don't know why I find it so fun. I guess I know why, because of NIL and the Wild West, and it's the pageantry, man. Some of these SEC night environments are so fucking fun to watch. So yeah, I'll continue to consume them all as the year winds down, and January is probably gonna be kind of chill. Probably take the month off and just look for a new job and wind down the college football season and entering this new MMA year and the new era of UFC with Paramount Plus, which is exciting in and of itself. I think it's gonna be like $20 a month, and you get all the pay-per-views, which is crazy because ESPN Plus is like something like $15 a month or something, and then you had to pay another fucking $90 for every month for the pay-per-view. So if it's like $20 a month with the pay-per-views, that'd be insane. That'd be awesome. So hopefully that's what's cracking. All right, y'all. I'm feeling a little dehydrated. My head is hurting. I don't think I drank enough water after the gym today. And I'm just running my mouth here for probably like 30 minutes. Don't think there's anything else I necessarily want to talk about. Let me rack my brain real quick. I think we're good. Shout out to everyone that has passed from this earth. Like I've said before, I'm starting to really feel these people in my soul. And I think I mentioned on one podcast recently that when people pass away, you can look at it in an optimistic way. They're like, oh, now I get to hang out with them forever. They're with me in my soul forever. So that's just like a reoccurring lesson I keep learning and feeling. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just want to verbalize that sentiment again. Anyway, I love you all. Be good. I will talk to you next week. Namaste. Mwah.